Hey everyone, good evening. Thanks for tuning in to Sharp Snippets. We're happy to have you here today. I'll be brief as always with our snippets, but I wanted to piggyback off of what we spoke about last week. We talked about risk taking, and there are a few things I want to go over briefly. But the first thing is, whenever we think about risk taking, we always want to see if there are positive odds for improvement in an ethical way. I'll say that one more time. Whenever we think about risk taking, we want to make sure that we have positive odds for improvement in an ethical way as we're discerning what options we have or where we want to go. The first concept I want to talk about, I have two concepts, but the first concept I want to talk about is the risk tunnel. I go into this in more detail in my book, Risky Leadership. But the risk tunnel is important, or I compare risk taking to a tunnel because tunnels are long, short, dark. Different tunnels have multiple exits. It can go quickly the ride through the tunnel. It can take a long time. But the same goes with risks. Some are long, some are short. Different risks have multiple exits, etc., etc. So that's why I compare risk taking to a tunnel, the basic concept. The second concept I want to go over is what I call risk repetition. And basically, there are 5 basic categories for improving our risk taking in life or leadership or whatever area of life you want to talk about. And the 5 categories under the umbrella of risk repetition, I say, are reading, number 1. Number 2 is visualization. 3 is acquiring mentors. 4 is what I call exposure therapy. And number 5 will be called layered risk. So let's go back to number 1, reading. I think we have a problem in our society right now with reading. But I say reading can enhance your ability to take risks because you get a lot of time, years of experience within a few minutes or a few hours. It's priceless. You can get free books from the library. You can get magazines. You can go online and read blogs or read articles. Twitter, not so much. But you get what I'm saying. You get years of experience within a few hours. Reading has been neglected in our modern day, and I think if you want to be a great leader, you have to read. Leaders are readers. We always hear that old colloquialism, but it's true. Readers are leaders. So if you're not reading, you're missing out on a fantastic opportunity to improve your ability to take risks. The second area of risk repetition is visualization. I need to improve and practice this a lot more, but it improves the mind. There's science behind this. Famous athletes, famous artists, well-known politicians have used this throughout history to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. So whatever we have in the mind, there's a possibility of us acting that out physically or that coming into existence. So visualization really helps. Third would be acquiring mentors. I'm going to briefly go through this area, but be careful who you pick. Take some time, study them, gather all the information you can, because some mentors want to hurt you, some are jealous, envious, and others want to help you. So make sure you're careful about who you pick, because if you pick a great mentor, they're going to help you in so many ways. They're going to just push you forward in life. It's going to be a great thing. But if you don't, they can definitely hurt you. The fourth area or fourth category of risk repetition would be exposure therapy. So a lot of psychologists, this would go right down their lane. Let's say a psychologist brings in an individual and they have a fear of snakes. The metaphor is a fear of taking risks. So if the individual has a fear of snakes, on day 1, the psychologist would talk about the fear at length with the individual. Day 2, they might even bring a snake in a cage in the room while they're discussing different topics with the individual. Day 3, they might even have the individual come up to the cage and touch the cage while the snake is still inside. And day 4, the psychologist might actually open the cage and allow the snake to come out. So it's just confronting the fear. That's when we talk about exposure therapy, in terms of risk taking, we want to confront the fear. And the fifth category is layered risk, which is basically taking higher and higher risk progressively. Um, so those are the 5 different categories of risk. When we talk about risk taking, if we want to be great leaders, phenomenal leaders, leaders that leave a legacy with a company or a family or a small team, we have to think about those 3 things. So number 1 would be the risk tunnel. Number 2 is risk repetition, and we know there are 5 different categories of risk repetition. And number 3, which is what we always have to remember when we're thinking about taking a risk, is are there positive odds for improvement in an ethical way? I'll say it one more time. When we're thinking about taking a risk, always remember, are there positive odds for improvement in an ethical way? This is Barry Heads. Thanks again for tuning in to Sharp Snippets. Have a great day.